there's another pass rusher that's going through a similar situation, but in a totally different way, totally different background with the team, and that's TJ Watt, somebody that we've already brought up in this conversation. He is very integral to a team that is really all in for 1 year because your quarterback is Aaron Rodgers, and as he's already stated, he's likely retiring after this year. They need TJ Watt to be out there on the field, impact that defense that's also had a whole lot of changes. You got Minkah Fitzpatrick on the way out. You got Jalen Ramsey coming in. Watt, he wants money. He wants to be in that Myles Garrett number, the 40 million, a little bit more than probably what we're seeing with Trey Hendrickson. This seems like I know this is not the first tiff that he's had with his contracts in the past, Ari, but what's different this time numerically that is really driving this holdout? And do you see this being something that's actually going to be figured out here before the Steelers set foot in camp?
This one is also a very interesting one. I probably talked about less compared to the other ones here around the NFL, primarily the Trey Hendrickson situation. But this has been going on all offseason as well. And not only has it been going on all offseason as well, TJ Watt has been watching this offseason with the Steelers, where there's been a lot of change throughout the organization, but he's also seen them act in a very unconventional way for a model franchise when you trade for a DK Metcalf, for a player who's never been on the team, and right away give him $33 million per year. You trade for Jonnu Smith and you give him a 1 year, $12 million extension. You trade for Jalen Ramsey, you give a little bit of a raise over there as well. And it's like, what's going on over here where the face of the franchise is in the final year of his contract, making only $21 million right now, and he's slated to become a free agent next year. Meanwhile, other pass rushers like Myles Garrett, who is his, I guess, enemy, you could say. I mean, they have a friendly, between them, who's number one in the NFL. If you remember last year, after a Browns-Steelers game where the Browns won, Myles Garrett said, "I'm the best pass rusher in the NFL. There's other people here, but there's only one of me." That stays in TJ Watt's mind. And the number he's looking for is beating that Myles Garrett number to prove that he is number one when it comes to getting paid in the NFL. And to this point, the Steelers are not there, but it's not only that, there's also a structure to contracts when it comes to players. And his last extension, when the Steelers gave TJ Watt a deal, he broke precedent because for years, the Steelers were only guaranteed money after year one to quarterbacks. TJ Watt's last deal, he got fully guaranteed money after year one. Are the Steelers going to do that again over here for a player who is up there in age? And maybe there are some concerns when it comes to longevity over here. So that is part of the problem as well. So it's not just breaking the APY of $40 million per year. It's also structure and cash flow and guarantees. And there has been some work to do over here all offseason long. TJ Watt has done some of those cryptic posts. At one point, he put on his Instagram story a picture of him walking away with two fingers up. So it has not been in the most smooth negotiation ever. But neither was the first one when he had a contract problem, which went all the way down to right before the end of training camp. So if this does not get done before training camp starts, I envision him being a holdout. But again, there's still a little bit over a week until they officially report, or under a week.
I think this is a really difficult contract to get done. I do think there's less pressure on it, and this is part of why it's difficult to get done. Like, I think there's less immediate pressure on this than there is for the Bengals and Trey Hendrickson. We talked about Cincinnati's historic slow starts every year. Like, it is incumbent on them to get these people in camp and get like up to speed immediately. Obviously, the Steelers want to be good as well, but I don't think they're as under pressure to get TJ Watt into training camp. Like, if he shows up before the regular season, I think they're fine, right? It's TJ Watt. You expect him to be good. You don't typically slow start. In fact, the Steelers tend to hit the ground running, so they're not under the same kind of pressure. But like, there's a couple of things. So number one, like, it's fascinating because there's been this argument back and forth between, is Myles Garrett or TJ Watt better for most of their careers? And TJ Watt has had the numbers that people like to focus on: sacks, forced fumbles, like the splash plays. And Myles Garrett has had the better advanced, analytic numbers, the pass rush win rate, the PFF grade, those types of things. And last year was the first year where the stuff that's generally unsustainable, and this is what made it interesting, is that sack rate, the splash plays are generally a lot more noisy and volatile. They come and go. And they didn't for TJ Watt. Like, he always had them. And he always had them at like a weird disproportionate rate to pressures and win rate and that kind of thing. And then last year was the first year where that kind of went away. And his pass rush grade was still fantastic. Like, PFF had him with a 90 grade again, but he only had 53 pressures. Like, Trey Hendrickson had 80 something. He only, quote unquote, had 12 sacks, sacked the quarterback 12 times. The year before, he'd done it like, way more than that. His general rate is way more than that. So for the first time, like, TJ Watt didn't match Myles Garrett in terms of the stuff that he usually does. And critically, like, he's a year and a half, 2 years older. And he's getting to that age now, the Trey Hendrickson age, where you're above 30. Now it's now it's anytime a pass rusher is over 30, you start looking for signs of, when are they going to start to decline? When are they not going to be that special again? The kind of year or two younger that Myles Garrett is, he's the right side of 30. It just makes it easier for you to convince yourself that, we've got 3-4 more years of elite Myles Garrett. We'll get through the whole contract. With TJ Watt, it's like, maybe we won't. Maybe we'll only get 2 years of elite Watt, and then he starts to decline. But like, so I think it's a difficult deal to get done. I do think, though, that all this talk, of trades and people calling up, absolutely call up, find out. But the answer will be no. Like, there's no reason whatsoever Pittsburgh would trade him away.
Hey, guys, just taking a quick break to tell you, hey, just over 50% of you are still unsubscribed to Check the Mic. It helps the channel. It helps to make sure that you don't miss any of our shows. So if you have a chance, hit the subscribe button right now.
The other thing I'll say about this, though, is the way the Steelers have orchestrated their offseason the last few weeks, few months, has been this all-in approach for 2025. So are you really going to treat this as a true business negotiation and haggle over all these little details? Or are you going to be like, screw it, let's get the best version of TJ Watt, let's make him happy, and let's go for it in 2025? Right. And that is kind of the leverage that the agent has over here, or the agents have over here. He has a number of agents here. And that's kind of what they've been trying to tell the Steelers. Like, listen, you've been going all in for this year. You have a quarterback who's here for 1 year. You've been bringing in all these veteran players like a Darius Slay, who's also in the final year of his career, likely the DK Metcalfs, the Jalen Ramsey trade, the Jonnu Smith trade. Like, these are all guys who are, 2025 third contract guys. Cam Hayward, probably also final year of his career potentially. Are you really going to play hardball with us all the way to the end of training camp, have this hovering over you, and then potentially risk, all those distractions throughout training? Like, why not just get it done now? And that is kind of what we're going to be watching for over here. Are the Steelers going to give in, do the structure, do the cash flow as it's supposed to be? Or are they going to be a little bit difficult of here, citing your concerns, Sam, and be like, listen, the age, the situation, the numbers, and all those different things, and be like, no, we can't do what you got last time. We can't do better than Myles Garrett. You got to accept this or play on the final year of your contract and become a free agent next year. Like, those are the conversations that are going to be happening over here over the next week. And what position the Steelers take, I think, could also dictate their entire 2025 season, because of just how important he is to that organization.
Don't you find it a little weird that, so I agree, they kind of, this whole offseason has been quite all in approach. And it's very, obviously it's geared to this 1 year of Aaron Rodgers that they've got. But in the midst of all of those, they then extended general manager Omar Khan for 3 years. Like, I kind of assumed that this was the type of all in move that if it doesn't work this year is going to get everybody fired. Like, it's going to be the thing, Mike Tomlin finally has a season where he has 6 wins. Thanks, Mike. It's been great. Fantastic run, but we're going to move on. And everyone's getting fired at the end of this, but they go and extend Omar Khan. So, he's not in a position where he wants to go, well, everything rests on this 1 year. He just got it through. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter once you get the 3 year extension, it's guaranteed money, baby. But like, from his point of view, he expects to be here beyond this year.
But that's a sign that ownership wants this as well, right? Like, which would make you think even more that they would be willing to get the Watt deal done sooner.
The thing about the Steelers also is, while we do look at them as an all-in year, and it kind of does feel like that, they've also positioned themselves really well for the future in a way where they still have, 12, 11 draft picks next year. They got to figure out the quarterback position for sure, but there are still players here. Like, one of the most underrated, not talked about stuff is the way they've refixed the entire offensive line with youth over the last couple of years, with the draft. Like, they've done a pretty good job over there, and that does go back to Omar Khan. But they also realized that the roster that they did have and keep to make the playoffs every single year and just not win any playoff games, that's not Pittsburgh Steelers football. They want to win playoff games, and that's why there was a bit of an all-in approach this offseason to try to get over that hump. So you could look at it really in two different ways, but I would say there's probably more pressure on a Mike Tomlin this year than there would have been on an Omar Khan this year. Omar Khan is still pretty new in his job. I mean, he's had 3 drafts total so far. Mike has been there forever. There have been those rumblings the last couple of years about his future. He did get an extension, but I think it's pretty well known around the NFL that if he ever became available in a trade, multiple teams would be interested. If he ever wanted to go in the media route, he would be fantastic at that. So that element of it, if it does flop this year, I think more eyes will be on Mike Tomlin than there would be on Omar Khan.
Sam, I wanted to ask you, because you did mention this whole idea of guys as they get into their 30s, particularly these pass rushers here, you start seeing a little bit of change in production. TJ Watt, 30 years old. Trey Hendrickson, 30 years old. I actually just figured out TJ Watt and I were born on the same day, October 11th, 1994. The similarities, as you can see from the picture below me, to me, it's just cut from the same cloth, cut from the exact same
You're
cloth.
like TJ Watt that went through a dryer cycle. You just get
just shriveled down a whole lot. But you're looking at these two, it's a little apples and oranges. But if you say you're a GM here, you're looking at both of these guys, you know what their respective prices are going to be. It's probably going to be 40 million plus for Watt. You're looking at 35-ish probably for Hendrickson. But if you were to pick one of these two moving forward over the next 4 years, which of the two do you think you would be more comfortable in saying they're going to be productive over the lifetime of this contract?
Yeah, look, I mean, when you factor in the contract, I would have Trey Hendrickson signed in a heartbeat. The TJ Watt deal is tricky because, number one, the money is going to be higher, and number two is, so players that have unique traits that buck the rules, the things that we know in terms of trends and how things work in the NFL, like players that go against that always, it just doesn't, they don't sit right with me. Not that I don't like it, but I don't know what to do with those guys, right? Like Derrick Henry doesn't obey any of the rules that current running backs. So I don't know how you deal with that, right? Like if Derrick Henry comes up for contract now, like what do you do? Because you can't use any other contract to work off because nobody else can do what Derrick Henry's done. So TJ Watt for his entire career has not behaved like a regular pass rusher. This idea of the crazy high sack rate, the crazy high strip sack rate, being able to turn on a forced fumble randomly in the fourth quarter and on a third down when it matters, but not being able to do it randomly in the first quarter at the same rate. I don't understand that. And because I don't understand it, I don't know what to do with it when it comes to, all right, now he's about to be 31, wanting $40 million a year because Myles Garrett got that. Do you give him that contract? I don't know, because I don't understand why he's been the way he has been for his entire NFL career. Hendrickson is much more conventional. I know what I'm looking at. I understand that. I have more comfort in that with the contract that he's going to be given.
Nothing to add to that, Ari. You're just completely content. Sam's 100% right is how I'm taking that.
Yeah, I mean, I would take both if I could. I mean, that's my answer.
Thanks for watching all the way to the end of our video.
For more great content, click here to subscribe and here to watch another video. We'll see you again soon.